Now we have to see about nanotechnology with clusters. I have to see what is a cluster. So basically in nanotechnology all the atoms are well aligned and having a well defined structure as like crystal like structure like this. But clusters are accumulation of nanoparticles over the space like this. So today we are seeing about what are clusters, types of clusters, why we have to study clusters, and what are the cluster size effects, what are their scaling laws, how spherical clusters are approximated, and what is the cluster surface analogy, and the importance of theory in cluster science. So first we will see what are clusters in nanotechnology. So clusters are the aggregates of 2 into 10 to the power n particles which forms atoms or molecules. So this n will be 6 or 7 based on the state in the periodic table. These constitute particles which are maybe identical and they can be two or more different species because we can't predefine a cluster as it is accumulation of charge. We can't predefine a cluster. Clusters may be defined in gas phase in a cluster molecular beam absorbed onto a surface or trapped in an inert matrix. Most probably the clusters we are seeing in our real life too. So clusters are formed by most of the elements in the periodic table, even the noble gas. Clusters of the coinage metals, which are present in the form of copper, silver, and gold, are found in stained glass windows. Silver clusters are important in photography, molecular clusters are present in the atmosphere, and carbon nanoclusters, example C60, and related fullerenes may be present in soot and even in space. And next is types of clusters. We are having so many types of clusters. The first type constitutes metal clusters, which are S block metal, sp metal, transition metal. S block metals are alkali and alkaline earth metals where bonding is metallic, which is delocalized and non-directional, involving mainly the s orbitals. And sp metals, example aluminium, bonding has some covalent character. Transition metals, greater degree of covalency and directionality in the bonding, involving the valence d orbitals. See, in the metal clusters we are having all types where bonding is delocalized and non-directional, bonding is covalent, and bonding a greater degree of covalency and directionality in the bonding, or all we are having with metal clusters. Then semiconductor clusters. Semiconductor clusters are composed of elements, example carbon, silicon, and germanium, which are semiconductors in the solid state. The semiconductor structure clusters also include compound semiconductors, heteroatomic ones with polar covalent bonds, example gallium arsenide. Here the bonding is covalent and so bonds are directional and strong. The next type is ionic clusters. Heteroatomic clusters composed from atoms with a large difference in electronegativity are included within it. Here the bonding is predominantly ionic, which are electrostatic, and the examples are alkali metal halides like sodium chloride and magnesium oxides. Then the next type is rare glass cluster, which are formed at low temperature. They bound by weak van der Waals dispersion force. Here the interatomic attraction increases with increasing atomic mass. Then the next type is molecular cluster. These are clusters of molecules. The types of bonding include van der Waals, dipole-dipole interaction, higher order multipolar interaction, and hydrogen bonding in this type. The example nitrogen, benzene, like that. Then the next type is cluster molecules. In addition to molecular cluster molecules is there, where in cluster molecules rich chemistry of inorganic and organometallic clusters are present, which are developed over the second half of 20th century. They are generally thermodynamically and or kinetically stable with respect to coalescence and can exist in the solid, liquid and vapor phases. And so only in nanotechnology we are having all phases, solid, liquid and phase, vapor. Then the cluster molecules have rich chemistry of these are so we have 6 types of clusters: metallic, semiconductor, ionic and molecular, cluster molecule and rare gas clusters. Then now we are seeing why we are studying clusters, because clusters are having a property which holds its central position between molecular and condensed matter science. Cluster is the fundamental interest is due to their intrinsic properties. In addition to that, it is having its central position between molecular and condensed matter science. This is the main advantage of studying clusters and working with the clusters. Clusters span a wide range of particle size from molecular to microcrystalline. So molecular particle size means they are well separated and quantized states. We know crystalline structure means lattice structure, but this microcrystalline means quasi-continuous state. Clusters constitutes new materials called nanoparticles, which may have properties that are distinct from those of discrete molecules to bulk matter. So we know what is the difference between discrete molecule or bulk matter. So the fundamental interest in the evaluation of geometric and electronic structure of clusters and chemical and physical properties with the cluster size are also to be included. So how large must a cluster be before its properties resemble those of bulk element is a question over here, because bulk element means it's a dimensional view in which the dimensional changes may occur, but cluster means accumulation of nanoparticles with which the its size changes. So the answer depends on the type of cluster and the property. The high ratio of surface to interior atoms in cluster means that there are many common features between clusters and bulk surfaces. They are having many common features, but the high ratio of surface to interior atom of clusters varies with the bulk material. So the cluster size effects. On studying cluster size effects, first we have to see with band structure evaluation. So here we are taking example as metal clusters. So in most of the atoms and molecules we notice an energy band gap will be there. In clusters it is well defined with a periodic difference, but in the bulk material there is no band gap between the valence and conductive bands. So the cluster size effect is having another property, that is size induced structural phase transition. In bulk materials dimensional changes may occur. Here on the inclusion and removal of nanoparticles, the cluster structure changes, which gives a phase transitions. So the cluster size regimes then. So first we have seen cluster size effect, now cluster size regimes. So based on the cluster size, we are fixing for this small structure means this number of nanoparticle, and this will be the diameter, and this will be the fraction of surface atoms. Like that we have to segregate. So for small cluster size, the number of nanoparticles will be less than or equal to 10 to the power 2, and its diameter per nanometer will be less than or equal to 1.9, and the fraction of surface atoms will be greater than or equal to 0.86. For medium cluster size, the number of nanoparticles will be 10 to the power 2 to 10 to the power 4, the diameter per nanometer will be 1.9 to 8.6, and the fraction of surface atom will be 0.86 to 0.19. For large cluster size, it should be greater than 10 to the power 4, the number of nanoparticle, and the diameter will be greater than 8.6, and the fraction of surface atom will be less than or equal to 0.19. So the cluster size regimes gives us a macroscopic, mesoscopic and microscopic view over the materials. If the number of elements is greater than 10 to the power 10 and the diameter is greater than 10 to the power 4 Armstrong unit, the element is macroscopic and look like bulk. And if the diameter is 10 to the power 2 to 10 to the power 4 Armstrong unit and the number of elements is 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 10, it should be coming under mesoscopic, and the element is having the property of colloids. And if the diameter is 10 to the power 2 Armstrong unit and the number of particles will be 10 to the power 4, a transition from colloid to nanocluster will be there, which is a mesoscopic one. And if the diameter is less than 10 Armstrong unit and the number of particles is less than 10, then it constitutes atoms or molecules which are called as nanoclusters, and it will be having microscopic view. And the scaling laws with clusters. In the large cluster regime, many cluster properties, example ionization energy, electron affinity, melting temperature and cohesive energy, show a smooth variation with the cluster size. The following scaling laws apply for a general property. So G of R, that is the general property based on the radius, is equal to the general property over the infinite numbers plus A into R to the power minus alpha. Alpha is, we know, it is the attenuation with the electrons. So A into R power minus A. A and B are dimensions. And G of n, the general property of number of particles, is equal to G of infinity plus B into n power minus beta, where beta is most probably 1 by 3. So based on these, if we have the scaling law if we have to apply the scaling law property to the general property with that is the radius and number of particles with respect to general property has been taken, means for large particles like bulk, liquid drop behavior will be noticed with the clusters. For small and medium with a less number of R and N, we will have quantum size and surface effects will be noticed. So this is based on scaling law. This is the property with the nanoclusters. Then the example for nanoclusters based on scaling laws is ionization energy of potassium chloride for n less than or equal to 100 is the ionization property based on radius per electron volt is equal to 2.3 plus 5.35, or that is radius per Armstrong unit to the power minus 1. The ionization energy of based on number of nanoparticles per electron volt is equal to 2.3 plus 2.04 into n to the power minus 1 by 3. The melting temperature of gold clusters will be taken as T suffix m of R per Kelvin is equal to 1336.15 minus 5543.65 into the radius per Armstrong unit to the power minus 1. So these are the examples to find the ionization energy and melting temperature for the nanoparticles. Then the deviation from scaling law is also there. So the large deviations are observed for many properties in the medium and the small cluster size regimes, because those are all nanoparticles and those have the self-alignment property and those are very minute and it can rearrange themselves. We can't predict based on this scaling law as a fixed one. So the oscillations about the smooth trend is there with the nanoclusters. The deviations arise due to quantum size effect and surface effect. The quantum size effects is because of electronic shell closings, and surface effects are due to geometric shell closings. Then the spherical cluster approximation. Whenever the cluster is taken based on spheres, the cluster particles may be aligned. The cluster is aligned at the surface of the atom. If n atom cluster is modeled by sphere, and the radius of the nanoparticle is taken as r suffix a, and radius of the cluster sphere is taken as r suffix c, then the cluster volume is taken as v suffix c is equal to n into v suffix a, where v suffix a is the volume of the atom. The cluster radius is r suffix c is equal to n to the power 1 by 3 into Ra, where Ra is the radius of the atom. Cluster surface area is a suffix c is equal to n power 2 by 3. As it is radius, we are taking n square, and so n to the power 2 by 3 into a suffix a. The number of surface atoms n suffix s is equal to 4 into n to the power 2 by 3. As it is a sphere, we have to take 4 quadrants, and so we are multiplying here as 4 n square into to the power 1 by 3, so 4 into n power 2 by 3. The fraction of surface atoms is given as Fs is equal to ns by n, which is equal to 4 into n power minus 1 by 3. The fraction of surface atoms should be less than 0.01, that is 1%, for n greater than 64 crore atoms. So see the difference between the numbers. So the spherical cluster approximation with a plot of fraction of surface atoms against number of elements for isosaheral shell cluster is given over here. The numerical calculation has been taken as n of k is equal to, that is the number of shells should be considered to be 1 by 3 into 10 to the power 10 into k to the power 3 plus 15 into k square plus 11k plus 3 is here based on the number of shells. The fraction of surface atoms has been quantified here. Then cluster surface analogy. There are so many analogies between cluster surfaces, because as it is not a constant one with the nanoparticles, we have to predict everything in a clear manner. So the clusters have a high percentage of their atoms on the surface, because clusters are bounded nanoparticles. So higher number of atoms will be on the surface. There is a strong link between chemistry and physics of clusters and that of the surface of bulk matter. Cluster surface rearrangements analogous to the reconstructions observed for bulk surfaces, which lower the cluster surface energy by forming additional surface bonds. So this is one of the important analogy, and the clusters may be stabilized by the coordination of ligands to the surface. So likewise, the reactivity of under-coordinated surface atoms make clusters of interest as models for heterogeneous catalysis on bulk metal surfaces. Metal clusters generally supported on an inert oxide substrate can themselves be used as very finely dispersed metal for catalysis. So these metal clusters can be used as catalyzers, heterogeneous catalyzers, and in dispersed metal for catalyzers. Then in coordination of ligands, they are stabilized, and they are forming as additional surface bonds. They are having strong link between chemistry and physics of clusters and that of bulk matters, and they have high percentage of atoms on the surface. These are the analogies with the clusters. The importance of the theory present with this cluster are given over here. The importance of theory: many cluster properties, example cluster geometry, binding energy and energy barriers, are not easily measured directly from experiment. Theoretical models and computational methods have been very useful in helping to interpret spectroscopic and mass spectroscopic data. So from studying this thing itself, we can tell this nanotechnology will be developed based on experimental results only. We can't tell as it is, though, because these nanoparticles are not visible one and not to be sensed one with a human touch. So they have to be experimented well, and they have to be clearly the clear ideas have been depicted here based on the practical, that is practical empirical calculations and practical results. So the cluster constitutes an exacting testing ground for the theoretical methods, testing the range of validity of theoretical methods derived from the extremes of atomic or molecular and solid state physics. This is the importance of this theory over clusters. So that's all about the clusters.